Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about Trump and what's likely when it comes to the economy. We're going to start with his campaign promises and then move to things he's likely to do that will have a significant impact on the economy. During the campaign, he made a lot of promises about altering the way federal income tax is collected, and from who. That's something he needs Congress for. Even if both houses are Republican, it seems unlikely that they'll push too hard on this one. It may not even be because they don't really care about the working class this time. The reality is that it would be hard. It's an incredibly complicated system, a lot like the whole repeal and replace motto with the Affordable Care Act. It's entrenched. They could do minor tweaks, but the large overhauls that were hinted to seem unlikely. If they do actually do it, you'll likely see deficit spending skyrocket or steep cuts to government services. Okay, on to tariffs. Trump doesn't really need Congress for this. I know, somebody is going to say that the power is invested in Congress by the Constitution. But, little by little, Congress granted more and more power to the executive branch on this one. Most of what he says he wants to do, he can, by himself. Now the question is, will he? Probably. Maybe not quite as steep as he promised, but he seems to really like the idea. Why not as steep as he promised? Because his economic advisors might be able to talk him out of it. Tariffs are effective if used very strategically. If they're used broadly, they can spark trade wars and trigger inflation as the prices get passed on to the U.S. Harris said it would raise prices by about $4,000 for the average household. She was quoting the higher end of the estimates, but the low end was around $1,200 per year. So you have a range. That's going to hurt. This cost would go up if it sparks a trade war. He's promising a lot of deregulation in a bunch of ways. This isn't exactly an economic policy, but it will have huge economic impacts. When strictly viewed through an economic lens, a lot of these could actually lower prices, as long as companies don't just pocket the savings, which they probably will. More importantly, the deregulation could lead to other issues related to product safety, environmental degradation, and a whole bunch of other things that will probably cost the working class more over the long run. Another one that doesn't seem like a direct economic policy but needs to be noted is that a lot of Trump's comments have hinted at going after social safety nets. There's always support for that in a Republican Congress. If those are cut, it's going to hit rural areas hard. With EBT as an example, every dollar spent generates somewhere between $1.50 and $1.79 in economic activity. Without EBT, that economic activity is gone. A lot of small mom and pop stores in rural areas get a big chunk of their revenue from EBT sales. They may not even be able to stay in business without it. Trump has indicated he wants to have influence over the Fed. This is a bad idea. Even if you support Trump, this sets a precedent for the president to be able to influence the Fed to make large decisions about the economy based on politics rather than the economy as a whole. It would allow presidents to cook the books for political purposes at the expense of the actual economy. So, what's the overall picture? Rough. Unlike his first term, Trump isn't walking into a booming economy. He's walking into one that just achieved a soft landing and avoided recession. Many of his erratic economic moves during his first term were more easily absorbed because the economy was on sound footing. That's not the case now. It might be time to really watch your pennies because stability is good for overall economic health. And if Trump carries out even just the likely promises, it's going to be a shock to the economy and might trigger a recession. We're going to continue going over his stated policy ideas over the next few days, and then we'll start talking about ways to get ready for them. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.